you're good at it with Melodyne. You're a good engineer. You're a good producer. You can make it work. But you've learned to elevate the art of the performance rather than just simply get the job done. I'm Joseph Magee, and I'm a music mixer for feature films. I've done, I don't know, 70, 80 features. I specialize in on-camera music. In other words, when you see a performance of a song in sync on camera with the artist, that's the kind of thing I do, pre-record, production, and post. I'd been a rock and roller and I'd done all these things, and I came to this town and I saw engineering and I went, whoa, this is what I want to do. But I also realized I was a school musician at that point, and I ended up actually getting my first gig with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and I recorded that orchestra for broadcast 5 days a week. And that was back in the day when it went across the EBU and all over the world, and that turned into classical records, and then that turned into film, and that got me involved back to my roots of doing orchestras, but yeah, songs. I got back into how I grew up, you know, playing in bands and doing songs. And I guess the first thing that kind of got me going was I did Tina Turner's What's Love Got to Do With It. I did the mixes for that, and that was kind of one of the first things where I got to be back with bands and artists again. And then that's got my career. I've been able to work with lots of famous artists as they come into the world of film, lots of famous producers, where I end up being the engineering music mixer interface for them bringing their art and their artist or whoever we're working with into the world of film. For example, dynamics. You know, I can sit on an automated console, like I was a big Neve automation fan back in the day, and now, you know, sit on an Icon or a D-Command, and I can ride that vocal, and I can go in and I can draw my automation around the waveforms and get it precisely the way I want it, but it will not accent dynamically the performance as it will in Melodyne. If I get down to that very point in the syllable where I really want the accent to hit, to change the way that the musical line is sitting, you know. So I'm not taking away from what that artist did or making them perfect. What I'm doing is actually giving them a little more stamina to hit the downbeat of that bar, which takes pressure off of the high note, which, yeah, I might have pitched a little bit, and yeah, I might have taken and pulled the vibrato off at the top and spun the vibrato on at the end precisely, and I might have changed the way that we scooped into that note, and if it's the whole note, I might have divided it into 100 pieces, whatever. But no one knows what happened there. But the beautiful thing is how the accent hit to set up that note, and how we took away the fact that the singer was tired that day and they went to sing that part of the hook, and it just maybe wasn't as great as they wanted it to be. Or maybe we sat down and talked about it. Why don't we make this something else, you know? Entirely. So the subtleties of you know, changing the format, deciding that they didn't open up their soft palate at the point that they needed to resonate when they hit that. You know, the N opened up the vowel at the right place, and when they got to the latter part of the second syllable in the word, the palate shut. And, you know, the coarse thing to do would be to say, okay, I see, I'll grab this glob, I'll put him in tune and move on, or put her in tune and move on, rather than stop and say, well, you know, really, the palate didn't get open, it didn't resonate quite well. If I take and change where it's placed, it's going to change the pitch. And so I shouldn't look at this coarsely from the sense of pitch to start. I should really look at how they need to resonate that note. And maybe the accent of the first syllable on the consonant to get into the vowel, to change the vowel, to open it up. And, you know, so you sit and contemplate that. And I think that if you're sitting in a room like this, and you have all this technology around you, and you're doing all this, that you can't, like, transform your brain into a place of thinking of artistically how this really should sit, rather than, oh, let's fix it. Let's fix the pitch. Oh, I see this should go there. This should do this. Oh, I see that, you know, in this little turn here in the voice, we'll pitch that up a little bit, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've worked, Melodyne has done its wonders by hand, and you have this perfectly in tune vocal that has no heart, and you're going, what have I done? And so I think that in my last year or two now with Melodyne, different than when I first started, I've learned not to do that. I've learned not to let the software get the best of me and take away some of the art, and I've learned to utilize it to elevate the art of the performance of that vocal. And all of this, though, saying that, you know, you're good at it with Melodyne, you're a good engineer, you're a good producer, you can make it work, but you've learned to elevate the art of the performance rather than just simply get the job done. The ability to go away and lay down on the couch with a laptop and or with that person in a really comfortable environment and do the first pass. And just as in any good performance, you need seasoning. You know, you really can't say, I mean, sure, you know, when the days when I was doing jazz, you know, Joe Williams comes in the door, he does take two and he leaves and it's perfect and it's done. Yeah, okay, all right, but how many times has he sung that song? How many years did that song season in him as an artist? Just like a great opera singer, they have to, you know, live a role for a year or two before they really can go perform it. The same thing with a pop song or a country song or a rock song. There has to be a certain amount of seasoning. Well, I think there has to be that amount of seasoning in the vocal process too. So you do your first pass with Melodyne, put it away, walk away, come back, fresh ears, maybe with the artist, whatever, go through it again, and I always make sure that I can tell you, that's my first pass, no, that's my second pass, or this is my third pass. And you know, sometimes in the event of a performance that really had difficulty with pitch, okay, because of inexperience, that's one thing, but I'm talking about the subtleties of the performance and where can we take it. And you know, sometimes you contemplate something over a, let's say there's a place in a song and it's a young male and he's not really a high tenor, he's kind of a high baritone, and he keeps going up and hitting E and F. And you know, it's right on his break to pop into his falsetto, and he's bringing his blend up there. And so that note is continually getting hammered in the bridge of a certain song, and you had an opinion that it should sit this high one day, and when you come back the next day you think, I was wrong. Yeah, we had the energy because it sat there, but let's pull it down and let's accent these words instead of, you know, that high E every time. Let's pull this back and get a better look at it. And that's what the second and the third pass does for me. And in the world of film, we actually have the beauty of that, because post-production is a long process. And you have tip mixes, and if you know, on a feature film, you have the ability to really evaluate what it is you've done. And I think that if you're making records and you can work with the artist long enough, you also should build that ability into your schedule to be able to really sit back and look at that vocal and get that second or that third pass.